Hey guys, I'm David with Media Unlocked, and this is Keenan. I don't know if we've actually had you on for a review in the past.
No, you haven't.
So today we're going to be looking at the FEELWORLD Live Pro L1. This is a camera capture card switcher. It's pretty awesome. Now, you can go online and there's probably a bunch of different videos out there that kind of explain all the functions and settings and how this thing operates. Go check one of those out. Maybe I'll find one I really like and I'll put it in the description down below. However, I really want to talk about how we use it here at Media Unlocked, and honestly, most of it's being used for our podcast for Transparency Fitness Live, which is our fitness-related brand that we have. And so Keenan's our engineer. He does all the cords and hooking everything up. I mean, it takes him a good like 45 minutes to an hour to hook the full podcast setup because we build out the podcast in our gym, and then we do the live, or well, we were doing live, but now we're pre-recording the podcast and then releasing it a week later. So this piece of equipment has kind of been invaluable to us.
Oh, it's been the best, yeah.
For the simple fact that we do a YouTube version, and then we'll do an actual just audio version that we upload to like Spotify, Apple Music. It's on Google. Google has a podcasting.
Google Podcast.
Google Podcast. And so this has saved us countless hours of editing, because what Keenan can do, he can sit there and set everything up, and then he's able to jump between the two cameras that we're running for the podcast back and forth. And sometimes we add a third camera. And so we're able to really cut down on our editing time because we do the edit live, right, while we're actually recording the podcast. So we've been extremely happy. Now, this is a $300 piece of equipment. We were just talking about, we also have the Elgato HD 60S Plus.
Yes.
Did I say that right? It's like a tongue twister.
Elgato HD 60.
Is it the S Plus?
S Plus, yes.
Yeah, the S Plus.
Yes.
So that's almost a $200 product. This is $300. And with the Elgato, the drawback is that we can only plug in one camera at a time. With this, we can plug in up to 4 different cameras and jump between those 4 cameras. Again, it's like I said, you literally have 4 capture cards, and you also have an HDMI out, which we're going to talk about how we use that to really get high quality video during the podcast. Yes. So the other thing to mention, this actually happened
3 days ago?
Yeah, 3 days ago. Yeah. So we do the podcast in my gym. I don't have AC in the gym. We have to keep the garage door down because of all the noise coming in, so that we get the highest quality audio during our podcast. We made it 35 or 45 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah, like 33.4.
He knows exactly to the second. Yeah. Before both Sony cameras went down to overheating, our recorder, which we're going to pull out and show you guys here in a second, that's really how this piece of equipment with our Ninja Blade 5, I think it's called, really makes the podcast amazing.
Really good.
So the recorder went down, both the cameras went down, like overheating. The FEELWORLD Live Pro L1 was really hot.
Perfect.
But it didn't stop. It was still doing its job. Another issue that we ran into when we were going live was glitchiness. Pretty much we were plugging this directly into, so you can plug this directly into the computer. It works just like a capture card. So like right into Streamlabs.
Yes.
And then it will just do all the switching right from Streamlabs. You can do it right here on the Live Pro. But we found that we were having some glitchiness issues, and I was a little worried that it might have been the Live Pro L1. Another thing that we were worried about is that its 1080p 60 output signal wasn't really that great of high quality. So 2 things that we found out. One, we were having, like Streamlabs, this is too clunky. It really is too clunky. Yes. For the use of this with this deck. So we found out that the Live Pro 1 was not the issue when it came to glitchiness. It was something to do with Streamlabs that we just constantly were having issues with. So that's why we gave up on the Live. The second thing is that when we were using our field recorder to pass through the signal through this into the field recorder to record the video and then cut it up later. we found we were getting these little lines across the screen that were being sent into the recorder, and it was actually being recorded that way. So what we ended up doing is doing a little research, and we found out that the HDMI cables that we were using were not the best HDMI cables. So anytime there's, so we had to order new ones, but think of this. When you put an HDMI cable, let's say into the input here, if we're moving the camera at all and the cord is moving and it's not very secure, it causes this weird signal to go through into the field recorder and causes this weird line. So we found ordering better HDMI cables fixed that issue. So I was a little skeptical at first using this because we had run into some issues, but this puts out great 1080p 60 into our field recorder, beautiful quality video. So all the things that I thought it was having issues with, not whatsoever. They were other issues that I thought were related with this. So I'm gonna let Keenan talk a little bit about how he uses it. A few things before we dive into that. So like I said, you have one HDMI out, and then you have 3 inputs. So you can hook up, or 4 inputs, so you can hook up to 4 cameras. On the side, you've got a LAN in, the USB 3.0. I wish it was, it was USB-C. It's not USB-C, so I'd love that the next one to come in, and you have audio in and out. Now, with the audio in and out, it's only 1/8 inch. It's not quarter. It's not XLR. I would absolutely love quarter or XLR, but you know, you do have audio in and out, so you can monitor it and you can get audio directly into the unit. You can control everything from the deck here, and then you've got just your basic 1/4 inch thread for, you know, if you want to hook this into some kind of mount. Other than that, that is the deck right there. It's small, it can handle heat, and I'm gonna let Keenan talk a little bit about it here.
All right, so the way that I've used this has been very straightforward, actually. When we were doing a live stream style, it was very convenient having both feeds in the 1 and 2 camera section to switch between. Real simple switching. A couple things that I might just not know how to use, or maybe that I just need to just figure out a little bit more, is that when I was switching to a signal, the other signal would light up, and I can probably show you that when we actually plug it in. But it is more convenient than having a, what would you call those things?
Like a single capture card?
A single capture card, and then having a mix and having
mixing it in Streamlabs, right?
Yeah,
where you're jumping between the cameras.
Mixing it in Streamlabs, or having to buy another unit for about the same price as this, like a Stream Deck, where it has a bunch of little buttons to switch between. So you get all of this, you get all of that functionality of 2 units in one, with extra HDMI ports, so you can do a multicam setup really easily. And I really like it because if I wanted to say I'm on camera 1, I can cut to camera 2, then I can set camera 3 while I'm still on camera 2. Then when I cut back, it'll go to camera 3, and it's real convenient. And if we're using it for audio, I could have the audios and I could adjust the volumes right here. But saves a lot of time. I don't know how to use Premiere. Right now I'm actually learning.
We're going to be he's getting his first Premiere lesson right after this review. And he's going to learn how to use Adobe Premiere so he can do the audio cut-ups from the podcast.
But not knowing how to use Premiere, and if you want to cut a video, super simple.
Oh, right. So in theory, all we're going to have to do is go back through the podcast and cut out sections where we took a break. Like when everything overheated, except for this, and we had to stop for 10 minutes, bring the equipment inside, let it cool down, take it back out to the garage. But yeah, so this, for us, this has been invaluable. The other thing I want to mention for all my wedding videographers out there, anybody that does live events, if you happen to use any of the Hollyland Mars Pro systems, there's the 400, I think the 600. The really cool thing is that I can plug in up to 2 or 3 cameras. I have, I think, 3 sets of the Hollyland wireless transmitters and receivers. Yes. So you see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So I can plug in I could plug in 3 different receivers into 3 different cameras. So I could plug in all 3 receivers into here. I could have 3 different cameras plugged into the transmitters. And now during a ceremony, we could actually do live video or do a really nice cut so that I don't have to go back into Premiere, spend 3 or 4 hours cutting up that ceremony video. Mainly you would probably have 1 person mobile, two cameras on sticks, and then the second person would be sitting on the Live Pro L1, and they would be cutting everything up as the ceremony is happening. So then it gets recorded into the Ninja Blade, which we're about to set this up and show you guys. But then it would get recorded into here, and we'd have a pretty much finalized cut that we can use right out of the...
Honestly, as a person, if you do events at all, like, this is a go-to. If
Yeah.
you have more than 1 camera at all, just go for
And there are some other options out there, but I think for the price point, this is the best option that I've come across. There are some $1,000 and $1,500 units that I think have actual Wi-Fi built in, and it has Streamlabs built into the unit.
Oh,
So
nice.
think of this having Streamlabs built into it, and it mainly, as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can run the whole entire streaming, I think, off one of these units.
Yeah, that would be
So if FEELWORLD wants to make one of those, I would absolutely love to review it for you guys, because that's the next level of like streaming, right? And that's where we're going, right? A lot of streaming, a lot of live events, all thanks to COVID from last year. A lot of people are realizing that if this happens again, how am I going to get my content, my media out there? And this is one of those ways. So let's set it up and kind of show people how everything works. So what we did, because we only got both of our cameras we're using now, so we just decided to bring out our little GoPro. And the battery for the Ninja, I think this is called the Atomos Ninja Blade 5. So it only records at, I think it's 1080p at 60, which this is what this puts out, 1080p at 60. So when and if FEELWORLD makes a new version of this that's 4K. Hopefully they send that to me as well to test. I will probably upgrade the Atomos to one of their 4K units, which is a few extra $100, and then that way we could be recording 4K video. The nice thing about this is it puts out Apple ProRes 422, I think, making it super easy for editing in Premiere, because Premiere loves Apple ProRes 422 far as a codec. And it's a very high quality codec too. So I really, really like that. So let's see here. This goes into,
I'll go to the Ninja.
yeah. So, yep, output here. Literally, Keenan has used this more than I have in the last month of us testing this out. Go to in, okay. So he actually has a better handle on how all this works. All right, and then, yep, that will go into the GoPro here.
Yep, and I put that right there.
All right, and is that on? Okay, no, I just gotta turn the GoPro on and it should connect. Yep. And then let's see if we got signal. Yep, so if you guys can see, we've got signal from the GoPro. And so it's really easy to set up. But so again, this is kind of what we're doing. So I don't even put a card. I just make sure that there is battery. So for the Sony cameras, I bought a battery that plugs into the wall for it, so I don't have to worry about changing out batteries.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, like that first week you came and like the batteries kept dying? We just did not think about it.
It was the worst.
Yeah, so the batteries, on top of overheating issues, the batteries kept dying. So I ordered these little units that go into the cameras. So the really cool thing about this is, so the camera goes into the Live Pro L1.
Yep.
The Live Pro L1 sends the out signal into my monitor here.
Yep.
The really cool thing about this monitor is, like I said, it records 1080, 60, an Apple ProRes, and then what happens is it goes right onto this hard drive right here. We plug the hard drive into the computer, we back up the footage, and then we edit the video. And we have found this to be the best way to get high quality audio and video. Now, of course, we have the audio. We don't run audio into here. We run the audio directly into the computer.
Yes.
And then what are you using to capture the audio?
Using Audacity to capture the audio.
So he uses Audacity to capture the audio. What we do is your basic clap, and when we just sync the audio up with Audacity, and even the audio sounds better than if I was running it through Streamlabs. So Streamlabs somehow even makes the audio sound worse. So that's why we're using Audacity. Into here, and then we'll sync everything up here. So for podcasting, for live events, as of right now, $300, best thing on the market, at least for our uses here at Media Unlocked and Transparency Fitness Live. So we have been absolutely ecstatic with this unit. We've been super happy, and this is like I would not want to do the podcast without this now.
Yeah.
Keenan would be doing so much more work. He would quit after like week 1. He'd be like, "Oh no, this is too much work."
If we didn't have this, I would have to basically take both angles and cut it as
And if we add that third angle in sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
that would be a whole third angle you'd have. So this is so much more work.
Yeah, because if there was just like a third angle, I would just be like, okay, camera 1, camera 2. I could click camera 3. So then I could switch. It would hit camera 3. Then if I want to go back to camera 2, I hit that. And then it should take me to 2. I could hit 1 there.
Now, if you guys notice, the red means that is what
The red
camera is live,
yes,
right?
The red is the camera that's live. The green blinkings are the ones you can activate. So there's only
So it's blinking. That's the camera you're going to cut to next when you slide.
Yes. Okay. So basically, there's only 1 and 2. It's perfect because it's not too much, but the blinking shows you which camera you have that's ready to be activated. So you'll switch to. It'll show you. So then if I wanted to go to camera 4, switch there. It'll go to 4 instead.
Now, the one thing I think you're realizing now doing this, well, you've done this for like a month and a half now, is you've got to be very vigilant. You got to be very vigilant on watching the cameras. So there is a lot on his shoulders in the aspect of like knowing when to cut. So usually it's just me and another guest, right? So he just kind of cuts to the person that's talking. But say something goes wrong on the computer or cameras overheat or like things that could distract Keenan, right, for a second. He's got to be vigilant and being able to, again, engineer everything, make sure everything's running smooth, take care of any issues that may happen during the podcast, but still be very, very vigilant on keeping an eye on that to switch cameras because that is our only cut. So I'm not recording video from my cameras. I think that it's less abusive to my Sony cameras.
Honestly.
Again, all this is just recording everything. So the cameras aren't recording at all. They're just turned on and they're pointed at the person, and then all the footage just goes right into here and we record it, which is fantastic. So anyways, guys, that is our review on the FEELWORLD Live Pro L1. It's $300. Of course, as always, guys, we'll add a link over here, and then one in the description and one at the end of the video. Keenan, any final thoughts for you on this unit?
If I had a lot of cameras, I would get one. I don't do photography or videography like that. The most I do is streaming, but like I would get one of those if I got a second camera.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree with you. So it's been easier on Keenan again. As an engineer, as our audio and video and overall engineer for the podcast, it has really made things easier for Keenan and myself. It also saves extra setup time because we're not setting up 2 or 3 different capture cards, and I don't have $500 in 3 different capture cards because I'm not going to buy the cheapest $75 capture card pretty much outside of FEELWORLD and Elgato. There's one other brand I like. I wouldn't go to another brand, and to be honest, those are much more expensive capture cards. So so super happy with it. As always, guys, we'll catch you next time.